We're good.
Okay, well, welcome to the May 2021 Town of Olive Board Workshop meeting. Do we want to say the pledge? Do we have a flag, David?
I didn't think we usually did at the workshop. We didn't the
All
last
right,
couple.
then we don't have to if you don't want.
I don't have it ready, so
Have the flag ready tomorrow, though.
I absolutely will.
Okay. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. I did want to, I see Diane is here and David. So I just wanted to ask you real quick about the website. Do we have any update on when that's going to go active, the new website?
I would think in the next couple of days. He said he
Yeah.
thought by the end of the week or the beginning of this week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's locked down now, so it'll be, we're in that mode right now.
Yep. It is back. I know somebody said earlier that our old website wasn't working, but I got on it just fine. So it must have been just a temporary blip.
We had yet another, problem that we had in the last month or two with the workshop meetings being on the calendar and then mysteriously disappearing off for some reason. So Rebecca tried to get it back on today, but it wasn't, they didn't respond that quickly, and I know we're in the middle of it. I want to give you a couple of updates on things that we're doing. I'm sorry I didn't get to mail you anything about what we were going to discuss tonight. We had 5 interviews scheduled for this afternoon. 4 of the interviewees, the applicants for the job for the building clerk came. 4 of the 5 came. One was a no-show. So I was a little busy this afternoon.
That's a pretty good
so
response.
let's just kind of go through it as I have it here. I wanted to update you on the town office septic. That work should be starting soon, and the West Shokan Firehouse next door has a failing septic, and it was proposed to us that we allow them to tap into it, and they would tap into just our leach field. But I didn't want to make that commitment without talking to you guys. The plan would be not to delay our project to do this because they've just started their process on theirs. What we would likely do is continue with the design plan that our engineer, Rex Sanford, submitted to us and got approval from DEP and CWC for funding. And we would put a Y in it near, if you can think of the back corner of the building, put a Y in it and bring a lateral, some piping over toward the firehouse to get it out of the way of the paving so that when we finish our project, we don't have to tear it up again to access a tap into the leach field. They have a sink and a toilet there in the firehouse. It's mostly unused. And when they have meetings or anything like that is when the town office is closed under normal circumstances. So it wouldn't really be an additional burden on us to do that. Otherwise, it would require a lot more engineering and a lot more costly system to go into for the fire department to do their thing on their property because of the limitations of their lot size. So I thought it was an okay idea. Rex Sanford, the engineer who is on both projects, thought it was a good idea. He shot some elevations to see if it would work, and he told me the other day that it would work. So I'll probably make a motion that we allow them an easement through our property. I have to look into it a little more tomorrow and see what language I have to include in that and so forth.
You think there's any issue with doing that from CWC as far as since they're paying for it?
I put that in, and what we'll do is I want to get a little more clarity of that. I did discuss it with them a little bit. And I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think what they'll do is we'll put it in, and then we'll go back for an additional funding, like an additional request for some more money just to put that lateral in. And I don't see that being a problem, but I will confirm that it won't be a problem before we do this.
Okay, good.
All right. We got a request from a electrical inspector. Scott, is this the guy Gary Beck?
Don't know.
Okay. I didn't know if it was, I remember you telling me you knew a guy, because this guy had a lot of experience in the city of Poughkeepsie. And
It's Tom Wycheck. He's his Poughkeepsie building inspector.
so is this guy, I think. Get this right. He is, oh my God, he has so many freaking things here. He's a master electrician, master plumber. He has an oil license, gas license, and all in Poughkeepsie. And he's got all of these, a building code official, certified building official, code compliance technician, licensed home inspector, Connecticut licensed home inspector, licensed real estate broker. He's got all these fire, residential wiring certificates, all of this stuff. He's not a building inspector in Poughkeepsie, but I'm sorry, no, he was from 2010 to 2020. He was building inspector number 2 in Poughkeepsie, and he's the code enforcement officer in Poughkeepsie. So he, amongst a bunch of other things, he sent us the resume and wanted to know if we could put him on our approved list of electrical inspectors in Olive. He seems certainly well qualified, and I think I'll bring that up at tomorrow's meeting as well, unless people have a problem with it. All right. Any questions on that?
For me.
Joe Stein is on the Boyceville Wastewater Committee, who I don't remember them ever meeting. They set the rates for the fees, and once they do that, we haven't really changed our fee structure much. And I think the last time they might have met was when we added the capital fee onto their fees, the capital charge onto their fees for a capital fund. He is stepping down. He's been on there for a while. He's done a lot of good things for the town, him and Bev, and wrote us a very nice letter I'll read tomorrow night. And I reached out to someone to replace him. It had to be a resident of the district, which limited it because there's only about 135, 45 homes in that district. But I did speak to Steve Norman, and he agreed that he would take that position. So I'd like to appoint him tomorrow, unless somebody has a large desire to recommend somebody else.
That's good.
And I wanted to get that filled because of the upcoming Shokan wastewater treatment facility and how they're going to combine. So there might be some more activity for those people. That right now it's just him and Donnie Van Buren. And we could also appoint more people to it. I forget the number is up to 5, maybe even.
Are you gonna make a motion to thank Joe?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm just marking what I want to put on the agenda.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely a letter of thanks for his service and appreciation of his service. I did want to give you guys an update on the zoning map for Mountain Road. I had 2 maps printed. They were, we took the 1975 map, which is the only map that was approved by the town board. And I had that map. That map was actually digitized by a member of the planning board a few months ago. And it was given to me, and it was confirmed that it was indeed the original map. And I had that map and the same map printed with lot lines on it. And there's 2 posters now in the building department that are about 32 inches by 48 inches. Very colorful, right, Dawn? They're kind of colorful looking maps. And very clearly outline what the zoning districts are in the town of Olive. So there has been some correspondence back and forth between a resident on Mountain Road. If you remember, there was a discrepancy in the 99 map, and this resident was planning to do a subdivision and was initially led to believe that they could do a subdivision based on 1 acre zoning. But when the map issue and discrepancies arose, it became apparent that it was actually 3 acre zoning. And that person has appealed to the town to allow the ZBA to make a decision on that. And our town attorney, Dan Hepner, has gave us an opinion that the ZBA doesn't have the authority to change the 1975 map, that the discrepancy was based on an error in the 99 map, and that was why there was the zoning code enforcement officer had made initially that recommendation that was 1 acre zoning. So he does not believe that that the ZBA should entertain that appeal, because it's not a decision that's based on an interpretation of the map. It was the wrong map. So I'll leave it at that. So that's happening. We'll see how that evolves.
Whose court is it in right now? Is it in our hands, or is it in Dan's, or is it in the resident? As far as
we've sent the resident. Dan sent the resident a letter back stating that he advised the town not to have the ZBA to look at that.
Okay.
So it's in her court,
Okay. Thanks.
their court. We did get the Board of Elections reached out to us to see if they could use the American Legion where they do the voting in Shokan, and they wanted to know if they could use that facility to do several days in the late October for early voting. And we kind of gave them the green light. I think I polled a couple of you about that. So I will make a motion for that tomorrow with the dates. Just so it's kind of official. We also, from the American Legion, we received an invitation for the Memorial Day Parade to be held on Monday, May 31st at 9 a.m. The parade starts at 9:30. At 9 a.m. we meet at Marty's, the post office there. Get some coffee, dress in your parade outfits, and go over to the Memorial Day presentation at the town office. I'll take a little break here, and I am gonna ask Diana, since she was so kind to come here, to give us a little bit of a summary of the new assessments that went out and the feedback you're getting from the community, and the reasoning that you're giving people, so that we can all share that and understand it a little better.
So letters went out, I don't know, early or middle of last week. They went out in 2 batches. I think there were like 2,100 notices that went out. It's important that if people ask, this was not a town-wide reval. That's a very different thing. This was just like a trending analysis. Lots of towns do them. It's pretty standard. No, I did not have to give them advance notice. That would be if we did a town-wide reval. I have pretty much had, everybody's been pretty pleasant with the exception of maybe one person. So
I apologize for that too.
that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind. That's what I'm here for. But so it is what it is. I can't, the numbers are what they are. I'm willing to discuss things individually if people have concerns, or if they don't feel like it's fair or equitable, that's fine. As far as you guys giving explanation, I wouldn't do that. If people call you, you should direct them to me because it's a very complicated thing to explain. I don't prefer that they go directly to grievance. I prefer to talk to them ahead of time if I can, and see what we can do to work that out. If there is anything we can do to work it out. If people disagree, they can present me with sales comps. They can present me with, a list of things that happened to their property that maybe I don't know about. Like somebody called today and I didn't know her house had a fire. So I'm usually on top of those things, but sometimes there's things that I don't get. So, or I'm not notified about. So we talked about that. I got some information from her. I confirmed that had happened, and so I made an adjustment and we came to an agreement. So things like that occur. And so that's very helpful for me. And then I can get some clarification on things. As far as how people receive this or how well they receive it, as far as I've gone today, I mean, as far as today goes, in the last few days, once I explain to people what I've done and how I got there, usually people are pretty okay about it. I don't anticipate that a lot of people will suffer a very big tax hike. I don't think it's going to really increase the tax burden on most people. There are certainly properties that I had to adjust a little differently, and there were some building styles that really needed attention that had been severely lacking and had been consistently low. So those did receive a higher assessment. And so those are the more complicated conversations, no matter what way you talk about it. No matter how clear you are, that's not always satisfactory to some people, and that's okay. Those numbers just kind of are what they are. And so if there's something I don't know, again, I'm happy to talk about it, but sometimes the numbers just are what they are. So if you had a sizable increase this year, it's likely that you were probably always supposed to be that high. You just weren't, and you got away from that for a couple of years. So that's kind of cool. So in the case that we were talking about today, the person that sent some emails,
Is this the email that we all received?
Yes.
Okay,
In regards to-
from the anonymous person, I should
Yep.
clarify.
In regards to that person, this was a kind of not a unique situation, but this wasn't a trending thing. This is a brand new structure on the premises, and that property has had a structure on it since 2017, and there has never been a value placed on that building. So as I explained to her, she's had almost 4 years of no tax implications for that structure. So that's really cool. Her argument was that she had to pay the back taxes for it when she purchased it on the old structure. And I said, well, that's irrelevant because that was several years ago. So, we're talking about the structure that's there now. I understand that COVID really hit a lot of people hard, but that's unfortunately kind of irrelevant. I didn't take into consideration those sales trends for this particular project because I didn't think they were realistic, and I don't know how long they're going to go on. So I don't really feel like this is a very stable market right now. If this continues on for the next year or two, well then yeah, that's a totally different story. But right now, I didn't take those into consideration. And also, it's important to note that if I had put this project off any longer, it would have been detrimental. Next year, if I had waited until next year to do this, those sales trends would have had to have been included, and that would have been devastating, I think, to some of the trends that I had to deal with. So by and large, I think it was a successful project. From what I can tell, the state gave us 100% equalization, and it brought us our RAR to 100%, which is ideal because if those things drop too much, if our equalization drops, obviously our tax burden increases for the town. That's a problem. That increases tax bills. And if we keep letting that residential section keep dropping down, if I hadn't touched it this year, it would have been in the mid 80s. If that drops too low, then we could trigger large parcel, which is a totally different problem. So I feel very comfortable with how this went. I feel that even though this is going to be a very big pill to swallow for some people, that by and large it was successful and to the betterment of the town.
Okay.
Is the RAR, is that the residential houses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So both of those, from what I could see up from the state's website, are now 100% each of them. So
Well, great job.
That's
Yeah, no
really ideal. And again, as I know that when somebody gets that letter in the mail, that assessed value really just triggers dollar signs, but that's not really always what it means. Not everybody is going to have a tax increase because I really looked at this in a lot of different ways, and I split it up into neighborhoods and tried to address the trends in each neighborhood so that everybody was elevated at the same time. And if everybody's elevated at the same time, at the same percentage, then nothing changes for you. There are certain trends that were significantly higher. Those people will see an increase, and that's unfortunate, but those are people who have been historically low and needed to really be addressed, to be fair to everybody.
And it should be noted that if we don't take this approach, for any length of time, we could end up in the situation we were, 10 years ago when it was so out of whack and you have to do a reval and it really hits people hard.
That's exactly right. And that would
As well as
be,
expensive.
that would be very devastating for the entire town. And also, I mean, the cost of a reval right now is difficult to consider. So I just think that this was probably the very best case scenario that we were looking at. And like I said, I feel very comfortable with how it went. Is it unfortunate that my phone's ringing off the hook? Sure. But that's part of the job. That's just part of the job. That's okay. And again, I'm always happy to have a conversation. If there's something I don't know, I want to know it. So, it just kind of is what it is, but I feel like it was successful.
About what proportion of the town got reassessed? I know the population, I always forget how many parcels we have, how many households we have.
It was like 2,100 or 2,200.
Is that about half-ish? A little more?
Yeah, kind of, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
I think it was more, right?
Yeah, it's a little more than that, but we have a lot of like vacant lands, and then we have state lands and those kinds of things. Although state lands saw almost entirely, I think every single parcel that I have that's state-owned land saw an increase as well. I get a list of those from the state, so they all had a major increase, as did all the special franchises and like the utilities things. They all had huge hikes.
So
We
that'll
have
balance out
about-
a lot of those increases.
That'll
balance out a lot of those increases anyway, the revals.
Yeah, it kind of levels out. When you see it from a personal level and you're only looking at the thing that happens to your home, it's hard to really understand, and it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, well, what if it's just me? Or, that's going to be so much more and I can't afford that in my budget. But really, if we're looking at it, if we're zooming out and looking at it from a bigger picture, it's really not the impact that we think it's going to be. There are people who are going to have a much larger impact because they've been historically too low. But the majority of the town should see a very small increase, if anything at all.
At the end of the day, you still have to raise a set amount of money. It's not like the increases generate a lot more money. It's the same amount of money.
Right.
For the
So
Yep.
that's the thing, sometimes people call in and say, well, the town needs their money. And I have to re-explain to them that no, like we vote on our budget. It kind of works in reverse. We're not saying, okay, we need the money, so let's see how much more we can get out of these people. It's like, okay, this is the money we need, and let's see how we can spread it out amongst these people. So that's important for people to understand, which they don't always. So, it's just about having that conversation.
So what would you say is the percentage increase in value of the town overall from what you did?
I'd have to go back through my numbers, but it was several million.
Okay.
It was a sizable increase. I mean, there's
Just
some
the-
residences that saw.
It's not anything we can do anything about, but the other side of that tax thing is if the percentage value of our town goes up relative to, say, Shandaken and Woodstock, then people would see an increase in their school tax percentage-wise. So if they did the same thing you did, then it's probably break out even.
They did not. And actually, because we're at that 100%, I don't think Shandaken has done a reval in a really long time. And I don't think they have any intentions to do it because I think they're at like, I don't know, 16% or something equalization.
Right.
So they have a little bit higher of a burden comparatively, but we should be good as
Okay.
compared to other towns in Ontario.
Any other questions?
No, very good
Great job.
Well, thank you. And
Thank you,
again,
Diana. Great job.
just direct people to me. My phone is always ready. My email is always ready. And if like at a last minute resort, if they needed my cell phone, but I'd rather not do that.
No. Don't do that. Okay.
All right.
You can go home now.
I am home, but thank you.
Okay. Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Bye now.
Bye.
Hey, Drew,
Yep.
do you want to take us through the zoning code revisions you were going to work on?
Okay, so Dawn sent out the zoning codes. I'll call them minor changes to both the zoning code and the subdivision code. You'd seen these before. Dan's looked at them. We made some changes based on Dan. The county looked at them at their April meeting, made some recommendations, which I put into the zoning code one. They had no county impact on the subdivision. And so most of it's minor. In the zoning code, the main thing that we're adding is accessory apartments, because we know we have them in town. We know we've allowed them in town, and yet there's nothing in the code that says accessory apartments are allowed. So that's probably the main thing that's added. The other thing that the planning board asked for was giving authority for them to hire consultants for site plan review. I guess they didn't feel like they had the actual authority to do that, so that we put a thing in there that they had authority in the subdivision code to do that, but nothing on the site plans. We added the same kind of words that were in the subdivision code into the zoning code. The rest
Is that
of it
pretty
is kind of-
common across municipalities?
What's that?
Having the site plan, the ability to hire consultants for the site plan review?
I'm going to say, yeah. Matter of fact, most towns either have on staff or they regularly hire consultants for pretty much everything the planning board looks at.
Right.
Matter of fact, I don't know whether Woodstock still has it, but they used to have a planner on staff that advised the planning board on stuff all the time. I think personally, I think the planning board had the authority to do it anyway. If, all they really had to do is ask us if we could do it. But this at least gives them, where somebody looking at our code, they know that they could be stuck with the cost of a consultant if the planning board felt they needed it.
Right.
Sort of like what we did for the Lower Salem Mill Road subdivision. During my 9 years on the planning board, we never actually hired a consultant. Of course, we never had any real serious controversies either. And most of the rest of the stuff was, I'll say, just minor little fixes. And so what the hope is in our June meeting, we can have a public hearing on these two changes and then adopt the changes to our code. The next thing coming down is the STR code. We're going to create a new chapter for that. It's about 9 pages of printout as far as controlling it. Jim's made some suggestions. We're going to work on that next week with the committee, and hopefully we get that ironed out. And then I suspect, Jim, you're going to want to send it to Dan before we move forward with it at town board, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But what I can tell you is a lot of what's in this short-term rental is stuff that the county has recommended, and it's fairly controlling. We'll have to come up with fees and caps on how many we allow in the town, but we'll work on that. But it'll probably take me a couple more months before you see that one, because it'll ultimately have to go to the county. Dan's got to review it, go from there. Anybody got any questions about what I sent out? Okay.
All right, so I think Drew's going to make a motion then, or we're just going to put it on the record that he introduced the local laws.
Yes.
We don't have to do it by resolution, but we have to put it in the minutes that he introduced the law to the town board.
Okay.
All right, and then tomorrow night, if you want a June public hearing, you should set the June public hearing tomorrow night. And
Okay.
you're going to need 2 separate public hearings. You can't do them
Correct.
both on the same at one public hearing. You gotta do
Correct.
2 separate ones.
The introduction to the law is tomorrow night. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I thought. I thought that Drew wanted to do. If he wants to have a
Yeah.
public hearing on
Yeah.
June, he's going to have to introduce it
Right.
tomorrow night.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
he doesn't.
Make it
It doesn't
official
have to be
tomorrow
a
night.
motion. It just needs to be stated on the record that he has provided the town board, the 2 local laws and that you want to do public
Okay.
hearings in June. Okay? So
Can
we'll put it on the agenda for you.
can the public hearings be on the same day, one after another?
Yes.
Fine, right? Yeah.
They just can't, you have to have one public hearing for each local law.
Right, right.
Any other questions on that? Okay. So be it. And tomorrow, we will be looking at the community choice aggregation law that we had the public hearing on, and we will be adopting that. And I'll have to read that law once again, I guess.
Like I offered, if you want to split it up some, we could all take a share, or I could take a share.
Oh, boy, that's painful, too.
Yeah, we could each take a share.
All right,
Do
let
you
me.
know what, do you know what resolution number you got for that one?
I don't.
Okay.
So
I do know this, that the next resolution is number 11, and I'm going to talk about that later, and that's going to be for the executing the contract for the wastewater treatment facility for the land. So you can make that 12 if you want the one.
So you're going to do CCA 12. Okay.
I think you talked about this before, but what's forcing you to have to read that law again? Or
Because,
what's causing this to have to read the law all the way through each time?
Isn't there language, Dawn, that says that we have to read it when we adopt it?
I don't think so, but I'll check in the book. I'll check my book to see.
If we don't
it has
have to
be
read it,
read.
I'm not going to force you guys through
I
it.
think at the public hearing you had to read it,
Right.
but I don't
And I
think
did, yeah.
to adopt it, you don't have to.
Wouldn't think so.
Check into that because I want to make sure you get it
I
right.
read the local law pretty good for Drew here, just to see how that was supposed to work out. And I didn't see anything in my book that it has to be read again.
Okay.
Well, even at the public hearing, I mean, some local laws are pretty lengthy, and I don't know that you have to read them. I think it's a good idea, but if it's long, I don't know what that's a good idea to read.
I mean, it's
I
available.
thought you had to read the first
it's
whereas and the
available on
therefore.
website.
That's the resolution part.
That's
No.
right.
But what I meant, the actual,
The law.
what you're changing, like when we did the wireless communication, thank God we didn't read that one. That would have taken all night.
I think Jim should read it anyway.
I like reading it.
I think
trying
you
to get
should
my-
delegate that, Jim, to Scott.
You'll have to
With
improve his
Scott's
Wi-Fi.
internet connection, we'll
I was
get
gonna
every
say,
other
we're gonna
word.
have some problems.
All right, moving on here. All right. We'll figure that out tomorrow, Dawn, right?
Yeah, I'm just marking things so I can have it, put it on the agenda.
Sure.
Before you come
We're
out.
also going to make a motion tomorrow. If you guys don't object to any of this, the Ontiora Booster Club wants to use Davis Park for high school seniors for a high school senior picnic or party during the day, and they want to use Ontiora wants to use Davis Park for the 6th grade Bennett School party, for the moving up party, I guess. And the Ontiora Soccer wants to use the park, and they all are requesting use of the park with no fee. I believe it's all during the week. Usually we don't reserve the park or charge a fee, but I just wanted to run that by you guys if you are all good with that. I don't have a problem with it. They were having limited use from their facilities because of COVID. They had to schedule something. They wanted to do it here. I agreed to it because of, I don't think they have a pavilion there, do they? To do it outside.
No.
So that way they can do these things and be, meet the COVID restrictions.
Are they going to have protocols that are recorded?
Yeah, they will. I mean, I'll make sure they,
Yeah.
you know.
So long as they have that, I'm all good with that.
Yeah,
Love it.
Okay.
I think it's a good use of the park.
Hmm.
I'll let you know after they use it.
Well, the
Um,
sixth grade party's always been, they do that, they were doing that every year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they've done it. Yeah.
So they do
Um,
their end of the year.
Next, we have that we need to make a motion to approve that contract from KAN, and Cynthia Nikitin for the Boyceville planning, or Boyceville visioning, I should say. And we'll do that tomorrow night. I've sent you all that contract. I don't think anybody had a problem with it. I don't know if anybody checked that out.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, me too.
But
Okay.
you have to do that by resolution also?
No, it's a motion to sign the contract. I mean, we went through it up to this point. I don't think we need a resolution for it.
Okay.
It's you know, it's just
That's good.
taking the grant money and appointing somebody that we've already gone through that whole process. Next business is along the same lines. The Nature Conservancy has offered a stipend of $6,500 for a mentor program. So if you remember, we applied to the Nature Conservancy for Boyceville planning. We did not win the grant. We were one of the top 5 finalists. And I know the town of Sydney and 2 other towns, I believe, received that funding through that grant. And they are doing a planning process. And Sydney is the big one. They've got over 100 parcels, I believe. And the Nature Conservancy, I'd like to thank them. They were very kind in coming back to us. It's asking us if we'd like to have our town participate in like a mentor-mentee relationship. In other words, our planner that we're hiring, Cynthia, and oh God, I can't remember the other one's name, KAN, would work with the Nature Conservancy and kind of periodically review what they're doing in these other towns to learn from their experience on how to do better community outreach and learn what the community wants about these things. In addition, the Nature Conservancy asked us to appoint someone from the town that's not the consultant, but somebody who has roots in the town and would be here and have some longevity, that's not an outside consultant. I felt that it would be good to have somebody outside of the planning group who's getting paid for that. So Lori Madison, who works at the high school, has agreed to do that. And she's on the rec committee. And she will be the liaison in that mentor grant that they're looking at. And work with Cynthia and KAN to attend Zoom meetings and participate in that. This is a $6,500 grant, and they will divide that money as they see fit. The money won't come through the town. It'll go to them through KAN. So we don't have to deal with the money part of it because it gets a little complicated coming through us. So I worked that out with them, and we'll let the Nature Conservancy know about Lori and the consultants and give them all their information. So I'll make a motion tomorrow to appoint all of those people to represent the town. Okay? Any questions on that? It's a little confusing.
Mhm.
I think Lori would be really good for that.
All right. The appointment to the planning board. We received 2 applications, 2 letters of interest with resumes. One was from Cynthia Nikitin, and the other was Paul Wright, who serves on the ZBA. We're going to have to make a decision on which one of those we want to appoint to the planning board tomorrow night. I don't think we have to go into, executive session unless we feel it's something private that we want to discuss. How do you feel about that?
I think it
'Cause
might
if we're going to
be.
do it, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I don't,
So,
based on who I think we should appoint, I don't see any reason to go into executive session.
So I can air my opinions without, there's nothing really confidential about this. Cynthia's involved in the Boyceville planning. Cynthia's involved, in the Nature Conservancy grant. So she's got her hands in this and she's pretty busy in Boyceville. I think there might be a little bit of a conflict to have her on the planning board. And she is a urban planner and has a lot of experience in that, but it's different than being on the planning board. But also Paul Wright initially wanted to be on the planning board, and we had an opening on the ZBA, and we appointed him to that position for him to get a little bit of experience and understanding of the processes of that. So I feel it would be, in my opinion, my recommendation would be to appoint Paul Wright to the planning board tomorrow.
I agree.
In light of that.
You're now gonna have to find somebody to replace him, though.
That's
I
true.
forgot about that, yeah.
That was Cynthia.
That's the planning board's much more important right now to the town.
Yes,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for pointing that out though, and I totally forgot about that.
yeah, no, you're gonna have to replace him now.
Yep,
And
All
I agree with what you said about Cynthia, and I think going forward, she can probably be more useful to the town in this, I'll call it planning type stuff, as opposed to being on the planning board.
I could see this Boyceville thing turning in, it growing
Yes.
as time moves on, and we discussed this earlier. And I agree with you, Drew, that, having her there as a consistent person, understanding what the town needs are, what the town has expressed needs for, what the town board is feeling, I think that's important.
it also occurred to me that there could be a conflict when you sent out the resumes in the first place. Because of
Yeah.
what she's doing and, what she's involved with.
Okay. So we will appoint Paul tomorrow, and we'll look for somebody for the next meeting for the ZBA. Okay? I believe I sent you guys out the contract for the wastewater treatment facility in Shokan for the land purchase.
Oh, it's not in Roxbury?
In the town of Roxbury, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called them about that. I'm like, I think, never mind. I don't want to say that. You don't want to know what my thoughts are. She told me all I have to do is cross it out and put town of Olive in initially. So I've done that on my copy of it that I'll send back to them. But there will be a motion for the resolution for the contract. And for me to sign the contract, I believe it is.
That's the one you'd make in 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll check into that. I thought I had that with me. Apparently I don't. Yeah, there's a contract. There's an agreement. I know that's a contract. There is a resolution in here somewhere. I thought I sent it to you guys.
You did send it.
Yeah, I don't have it with me, but it's on my desktop. So we'll do that tomorrow. Is there any questions about that? That's going to become a major focus for us moving forward. I spoke to CWC a little bit about it, and to the lawyers and all the parties involved, or a lot of the parties involved. And now we're starting the public part of this. Now people are going to be looking at this much more closely, going, oh, it's there. I'm sure we're going to hear some comments from neighbors and things.
So where is there?
Well, there is what's in the contract, which is, let me get the address here. which is 3350 Route 28. Tax parcel number 46.5-1-9. And that is the property that's next to the, what is that company called? Arbor Art?
Arbor Art.
It's adjacent to Arbor Art.
There's
And it
another,
goes from
there's a little piece of
28, let me
property.
finish here. It goes from 28 back to Davis, or to Grant Avery Park.
There's another little property between Harbor Art and that property. It's got a house
Oh,
on
there
it.
is there? Yeah.
It's a little piece.
So, that's where we'll be locating that, right there. So.
I have one question about the money side of it. The contract reads as if we're paying for it, but I know we're not. So how does the actual money change hands with CWC and us and the seller?
I'm believing that the money will be handled by CWC. I've got to check that with Jason yet, how that funding flow works. But that's generally what, I think we're going to be looking at. They're going to be paying the bills to Lamont. This is our project. We will own this, but the money is expended through the contract with CWC to, administer it in a sense. Which is a bit of a relief because they can get big.
So the districts will stay separate though, right? Once this is all done? Boyceville and
That's
Shokan
still,
won't join?
being looked at from a legal standpoint, whether it will be two separate districts. I believe that's what they're heading toward, or whether they're going to try to make it into one. They will be, the Boyceville wastewater treatment plant will be turned into a pump station that will pump effluent up to the Shokan wastewater treatment facility. All of the waste will be processed there and treated there. So they will have one district, but it'll be a pump house instead of a treatment facility.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So this is supposed to go out for vote, right, to these people that are in this district, like the Boyceville one did. So why are we buying land that we don't even know if these people want this?
Because one, we don't have to have it out to vote. That's an option to the town board.
Okay.
And two, it would be, I'm not sure if that vote is binding or not, but I believe it is. And we might choose to do that for political reasons so that we build community support for it. If you were to, it should be noted that if the town turns it down, either by the board or by the vote, what happens is you end up like Phoenicia is in a situation. The city looks at it from the perspective that we offered you a wastewater treatment facility. We do not feel that the homes in the mapped area can sustain themselves with septics. They, like in the area of like Red Maple, the houses are too close together to the wells for the septic fields. The clay conditions are bad, the water conditions are bad for septic fields. They feel that over time, that situation will worsen, and it's in the best interest of New York City Water to create a wastewater sewer, district. If you were a management plan, they call it. If we were to turn that down, the sewer district in Shokan, in the mapping, would not be eligible for the septic program anymore, and you would be responsible for dealing with your own septic. So one thing to consider in that, if you're a homeowner, is that many of the homes in that sewer district are, 30, 50 years old or older, and that's about the life of a septic field. So there might not, every house has a different, you could say like 30 to 50 years for a septic field. I think the official number is 35 or something. But if you have a 3-bedroom house and you're only 2 people living in it, it's based on the size of the bedroom, the field. So you'll get a lot more time out of it. You can even double it, So there's a lot of factors that are that are dependent on each particular property and house and septic field. So that's the situation Phoenicia's in now. What they do is they, up to this past year, if you were in Phoenicia, because I get people calling me in my position on the CWC board, I get people contacting me often saying, hey, I live in Phoenicia. Aren't I eligible for the septic program? And I say, no, your town voted it down. And they said, but I've got a leaky septic and it's going to cost me $40,000 to fix. I've seen them go up to $50,000 on the CWC septic program. And I say, no, you have to pay for that, and you'll pay for that. And if there's money left over at the end of the year in that septic allotment, they will reimburse you. But I can tell you that the last year with COVID, with all the people moving up here, the septic program has been overwhelmed. They're turning people down. So it's very unlikely they're going to pay for a septic system in a sewer district that was established but never voted to proceed. It would be really hard for them to say, yeah, we'll pay you, but we're going to turn down somebody who's really eligible. So it's a difficult situation, but that is kind of the hammer that the city holds over this if it's voted down.
It's a big hammer.
It's a big hammer. It's also, if you look at the home, it enables you to expand your home, put an addition on your home with an additional bedroom, bathroom, without having to incur the cost of upgrading your septic field and your septic system. It enables businesses to tap into it. It gives you more ability to use parts of your land that might have been restricted for lot size for septics. So there's a lot of advantages to it in many ways that we will have to do a little bit of publicity.
It just seemed like you're putting the cart before the horse, buying the land when you guys haven't even voted if you're sending it out to the public or if you're definitely going to go through with it. You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, it's definitely something that needs to be done. I get that, but it just feels like what happens if you buy this and then nobody wants it.
You
You
then what
guys
happens?
are,
What will
know.
happen will be like what they did in Phoenicia is they did buy the land and then they put the land back on the market.
okay.
So
I'm just
they need
curious about that.
the land is a kind of tricky thing in it because they don't want to say, hey, we're going to buy this after we decide. And
And then have the
really
price
start
jacked up.
speculating on the land. Yeah. And if you look at the criteria of which they had to locate the wastewater treatment facility, it was very limited, like where they could put it. There were only several pieces of land that were even possibilities. This particular piece of land was the primary spot. It only has one or two neighbors, or two or three neighbors. It backs onto the park. It fronts on the Route 28. I'm not sure if that's the commercial district there, if it goes down that far or not, but it is in it's on a state highway.
It's got the
So-
stream that it needs.
It has the stream that it needs. So it had everything. They said we couldn't have picked a better site.
Right.
And they paid dearly for it because of that.
Hey, Don, do you remember several years back that Sylvia wanted to try to buy a piece of property? That's the same exact piece of property that Sylvia was.
Yeah, I remember that.
So Jim, I got one tricky question, which I don't think there's an answer to yet. But do you think they're going to be using all 6 acres for the treatment plant, or are we going to be put in a position of having to subdivide it and sell off what's left?
No, I think they'll be using all 6 acres, but what they do is, it's kind of funny. They can't design the plant unless they know what the lot looks like.
Right.
You have to figure out, the offsets, how many, feet off the sides and all that, and where the stream is. So they need the land first to proceed with the entire design.
Right.
And that's why we were kind of like in this last 6 months, in no man's land, waiting for this land to be acquired to be able to start the design. In addition, the city was a little bit slow dragging their feet and getting the actual funding into CWC to proceed. So it's all lining up. There will be a lot of outreach and a lot of public comments on this, I'm sure. I feel it's a good thing for the community. I feel it's a good thing for Shokan. And it was only a matter of time before Shokan became more restrictive if we don't have this. Any questions on it?
What is the process for deciding if we put it out to vote? Would that be in November? Would that be on November's ballot? Seems short.
No, I think it would be a special election. It's only
Okay.
for the people in the district. That district will have, hold on one sec. I might be able to have it right here.
400 and something lots. You said, Jim, we don't have to put it out for vote, right?
You don't. Most people do because they want to gain, they want the support. In Shokan, it's 470 plus. They think it's going to go up to 500, and you have 135 or so in Boyceville. So you're looking at, what is that, 635 homes and businesses.
That'll be one of the bigger treatment plants in the region, right?
It will be the largest in the west of Catskills. So there'll be some big changes there. Let's put it that way. And once they start designing it, we will get some input from the town to the project, how it designs to keep it, try to minimize the impact on neighbors and lighting and things like that. We'll have say in that. Okay. Along the same lines with CWC, I can update you on Boyceville. You see how some of the properties have been taken down and the land cleared. The one where the log home was, they were doing pretty well on that, and they got a nice early jump on that, but they hit as they started to take up the parking lot, they found another foundation under the parking lot that they have to extract. So they had to go back to CWC, apply for the money for the overage, and now CWC has to expend that probably next month. So there's a little bit of a delay in the completion of that. And that property will be nice. It has the electric left on the back of the property for our town use, if we decide to use that for that. Yep, yeah, but that resolution. Okay. We had, if you remember, Lime Energy. We've heard of them in the past. They've done some work for the town. Lime Energy is a kind of company that works with Central Hudson, might be a subsidiary of Central Hudson. And what they do is they do their energy efficiency programs and go around and evaluate buildings and like outdoor lighting and things like that to see if they can give you an upgrade or find funding for an upgrade to your facilities. And we had that done with them. And Jim Koza and Gene Sorbellini went around and they looked at the highway garage. They looked at a couple things, but the one that was really worth the money was the highway garage. And that would be upgrading all of the lighting in the garage and in the cold storage building, which is it, unheated garage. The upgrade cost would be $7,943.06. The utility incentive that they would offset that cost would be $5,601.63. And the cost to the town would be $2,341.43. And that would result in an estimated, they do this funny estimation of $2,298.01 per year. So it's a 12-month payback at 98% payback. So I will probably make a motion tomorrow night that we proceed with that unless somebody has any questions about it. One of the other points in that is that the lighting in the garage is the, oh God, what is that called? It's the really narrow I want to say T3 or 3, I think, or 4. Brian, you don't know, 4? And these lights reportedly will put out more output than them. And those bulbs are getting more difficult to find. They were kind of an interim bulb as technology progressed. And I think what will happen is they're becoming harder to find and they're very expensive to replace. So Gene is recommending that we accept his proposal and for an out-of-cost pocket of that $2,300 I mentioned. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions on it?
I have a question regarding the cold storage building. If we're going to move forward with the possibility of a new design, a new building, do we want to pull that out of that equation?
Let me see how many lights, if I can dig up how many lights are in that. You're talking 4, 5, 6, 7 lights.
I mean, we can recycle them. That's all. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's only 7 lights out of the rest of the projects, like over 20 some lights. I would suggest we do it because we don't know when that project will get funded and when that could be 2 years down the road or more. So I would suggest we do it. And if we can salvage the lights, we will at that point.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's a threshold on how many they have to do to get that savings. I don't know if there's some kind of weird thing about that. All right. I think I might have misstated that for a minute. Hang on a sec. Yeah, that's pretty good. The next thing I have is, we talked a little bit about that assessment complaint that we did. Brian has a revised 284 agreement for the expenditure of highway monies. Brian, you want to explain that a little on how that came about? Because one of the things that came up in the office today was this is probably the highest figure that they've seen for chips, if ever. You're muted, I believe. You're still muted.
Where's Avery?
You're still muted, Brian.
Where's Christina?
You better call upstairs. Hey, bro.
Can you hear me
There
now?
you go. Now you got it. Okay.
I'm just to let you know I'm having a little issue with my computer, audio and visual. But anyway, I will reflect on the chips thing. Absolutely, I said certainly. Last year we had budgeted just for standard chips, no paved New York, no extreme winter recovery, which is always kind of an unknown. At this point, we did receive 20% that was held back from last year. I do have to get with Janice on the dollar figure that we did receive. I heard she did receive it the other day, but however, we did receive increases abroad. Our standard chips are paved New York and extreme winter recovery, which is allowing me to take on some extra road work and then some. A lot of this work is being contracted out that we've done a lot of our major paving in the past, but there's a lot of other paving projects that I didn't think we were going to be able to get to this year, and it's fantastic. We have a slew of roads in town that are in shambles. We're certainly making, I feel, leaps and bounds in the last several years, addressing through preventive maintenance and addressing the roads that need to be having a base installed and basically getting that done and riding them out a few years to where we can get to other roads that are really in super need, and then topping them the other roads at future dates. But this extra money that we're receiving in funding is tremendous, and I think it's fantastic. But anyway, like I said, I think we're within budget here, and like a little bit of this money certainly is coming out of the general repair line, which that's what it's for. But anyway, like I said, moving forward, I have 2 extra short roads here that are in dire need of help, and one, Hannah Lane, that we took over just before Jimmy Fugle had left, was never a top on the road, and it has unraveled. And our winters, I think, which everybody knows, that we, up until this year, we really haven't had a good frost or a long period of snow on the ground to basically hold the structure. You know, we got frost and going in and out all the time. Our weather trend, it's pretty much been consistent right along here. But with this year, we've had a good layer of snow for a good portion of the year. But certainly the frost in and out, Hannah Lane was beat up big time this year beyond a patch job. And I felt with this extra money was a good opportunity to put a good base in that road. I think there's 2 other house sites that still to go to construction in there, and I will not do a finished product there, but I was hoping to ride it out a few more years, but it's just not feasible right now. It's, if anybody gets a chance, take a ride down the road right now, and you'll see another one, Runge Road, that was added on. It's been in shambles for years. They're little short roads, but certainly they need a base put in them, and then hopefully put a nice top to really get some longevity out of them. But anyway, that's my intentions at this point, along with the other roads from my original 284. No changes in my.
Hey, Brian, I have a question on this.
Yes.
Are these roads the same roads as the original, or are they additional?
They're the only additional ones are Hannah Lane and Runge Road from the last 284 agreement.
And then one other question is, you were talking about the repair fund. How much out of that fund do you think you'll have to dip into over and above the increases that you're getting and the 20% that you received?
I don't have a accurate figure right in front of me, but I think it was right around, just a hair over $100,000 in the general repair line.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, Jim, I'd be more than happy tomorrow, because Sierra and I were working on that today, and I'd love to shoot the town board an email tomorrow to break that out better, so you have a better understanding of actually what.
Is that the budgeted general repair line, or is that the reserve?
No, that is budgeted.
Okay, great. All right.
And there's, Jim, just to put it out there, and all the board members, there is a tremendous amount of additional road work outside just general repair stuff. You know, there's a lot of little odds and ends stuff, and we have a lot of roads to address for future paving. And I always like to stay a year ahead of time, installing new culvert pipes on the roads that we project to pave in years to come, to allow a frost cycle to go through. You cannot, even though the guys compact and do their due diligence, and you need a cycle of frost when you do a deep excavation and have it settle, you know, and wind up with a good road after it's paved after the fact, and not have dips and bumps and whatnot where we replace culvert pipes and whatnot. And I've been trying to remain on that schedule and keep us a year ahead, if not more.
Right. And I think we discussed at the last meeting about Burger Road, that we've secured the funding for Burger Road for the culvert, which was a nice thing to have done. But also, what was the new thing we got from Ashokian Watershed on? the-
Yes, that was actually last Friday. I actually just got the email this morning, but it was for another grant application to Ashokian Watershed for construction phase services for the Virgil Road culvert. We did originally apply a little over 100,000, and we consulted, I want to say a week and a half ago, based off of what was expended on Upper Boyceville and De Silva Road as far as construction phase services. And we basically came up with a number of $84,740 that we applied for, and we feel comfortably that this can be achieved. I think Berger Road is a little more straightforward than the past sites. And as of last Friday, we did receive an email that we were awarded the $84,470 for construction phase services management.
That's construction phase services?
Correct.
Can you explain that a little bit?
And that's basically includes putting the project out to bid. MMI now, or formerly MMI, now SLR, that worked with us in the past. Basically, they did the bid process. They had a certified individual out on site during the whole construction period to make sure all stone aggregate, concrete, everything is in spec throughout the whole entire project. Plantings, basically readdressing, bringing the whole project back to square one again, basically, after the project's done, making sure it's supervised and everything is up to spec. So this is basically what is being funded here.
Great, thank you. And also, can you just give us an update on Tongor Park Road? You know, you and I were talking about that last week.
Yes, absolutely. Be more than happy to. The beginning section of Tongor Park Road, Olive Bridge Park, everybody calls it something differently. But anyway, the entrance to Olive Bridge Park, basically I can reflect in that beginning section. Traditionally, the town of Olive, I think in the 20-some years I've been employed with the town, we have done some sort of pavement repair there. Traditionally, it was a chip seal, which the oil is not what it used to be. The road has deteriorated basically in a section that we plow into the park where it's gated now. Gene had hung a gate up to keep people from tearing up the park last year. But anyway, that section of road does need to be addressed. It's deteriorated. Some of it's from plowing, some of it's just from wear and tear of vehicles. But we did look at this, and I basically figured a price to pave that, which I wouldn't entertain the sealing part of it using oil. 'Cause like I said, it's not going to hold up the plowing, and which this beginning section does receive. But basically, to put a layer of asphalt down, blacktop, you're looking at $7,000 plus a day for the highway department to put it down. And right now, there's several potholes. It's in tough shape, but as we spoke the other day, Jim, I think it's something maybe for right now. We patch it up and let the board consider possibly in the budget for next year to maybe something that we can address, you know. But I don't know if you wanted to comment. Like I said, I would roughly put a number of give or take a little bit, but I think in the neighborhood of $10,000 that could be addressed and probably have a span of, I would say, 20 years or better.
Just to be clear, like, so everyone is on the same page, that money would be general fund money, not, you know,
Correct.
It would be expended from general fund, not highway fund.
Correct. That is it is not
labor, reimbursing for the cost of the material.
It is not an actual town road to where I could use CHIPS money or something like that, but it is
Maybe we should make it a town road.
What's that?
Maybe we should make it a town road.
Dedicate.
Just kidding. Just wanted to get you going here. Make sure you're
Absolutely.
awake. Okay. Anything else for Brian?
I got one quick question. Brian, who is your contact for issues along Route 28 with the DOT? Is that Dave Corrigan still?
Yes,
Okay.
he's been, yeah, absolutely. I just actually reached out a short time ago in respect to some signage along, but Dave Corrigan has been fantastic,
Well,
absolutely, and a
maybe
great
you've
guy
already
to get a
addressed-
hold of.
Maybe you've already addressed it. There's a speed limit sign that's leaning up against the telephone pole upside down. I'm assuming somebody either knocked it down or pulled it out. It's been like that for a week, so I was going to contact him about.
Okay, I can do that. Drew, where was that again?
It's right in front of the Shokan Rail Trail parking area in Shokan.
Okay,
And between the two, the entrance and the exit, there's a telephone pole with a sign leaning up against it upside down.
okay. I would be more than happy to contact him if you want me to.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
I can give you a little update too on some, while we're on DEP talk and roads. I got a call last week from Carl Davis out in the field. I don't know if you all know where my house is on 28A. They replaced the bridge there right by the old camp. There's a culvert and a bridge that they did maybe 2 to 3 years ago. And he called me up. That stream is fed, if you go back by the white farmhouse by the camp, behind the farmhouse, there's an old pond there that was dammed up and it was a swimming hole for the camp. And upstream from the pond, which has a dam, is a large, I don't know, probably 20, 30 acre swamp back there, DEC wetland that goes up toward Bert Leffeld's property and behind off Broadway, Broadhead there. And apparently there was a large beaver dam on the wetlands, and with that rain we had last week, the beaver dam gave way into the pond on the camp property, and the dam on the pond, which was pretty bad, gave way, and there was so much water rushing down through there that it overcame Route 28A at that new culvert.
Wow.
And they were concerned about damage to the culvert. They examined it and it's still open, so they're letting traffic on it. They're probably gonna have to do a little work on it. But Carl told me that he called me from the stream as he was walking back to see what happened, and said that the stream smelled like sulfur from all of the water in the wetland draining. So it was a very beautiful wetland back there. I'm hoping the beavers get to work. They are eager beavers, I guess.
Is the dam on the swimming hole like wiped out? Is it gone?
I haven't seen it, but my understanding is gone. Yeah.
Okay.
It was in pretty bad shape. It was kind of starting to collapse the last time I saw it, which was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago. So, but that's what's new. Trying to think if there's anything else going on.
One
Jim,
quick thing for Brian. On Mill Road, at least, the knotweed is already starting to get in the sight lines. I don't know when
Yes.
you usually go around and start taking those down, or
That's actually usually a couple times a year we hit. Mill Road's probably one of our highest concentrations, and it's amazing the growth already this year. But no, that is going to be addressed by the end of the week here.
and
on
you just
Mill
lay
Road.
those down, right, to
We
minimize.
just
the-
lay it down, and it's trimmed by hand.
Okay.
We got several locations that we visit or revisit every year.
Yeah, that
We
stuff's
need a
out of
couple-
control.
We need a couple of sheep.
Yeah.
The sheep at the bottom of our road eat all the knotweed.
There you go.
That's
Hired
another location.
subcontract out to Daphne there.
That's right.
I also wanted to let you guys know that, we're earmarked for like $400,000+ in the Recovery Act. And there was actually, I got an email from Senator Gillibrand's office today saying that they were going to have a seminar they were announcing how to use the money at 1:00 and a seminar online at 4 4 o'clock and 6:45 today, which I wasn't available for. I got the email when I got home. We do have a little hitch. You know, the Association of Towns sent out an email about 2 weeks ago or so asking for towns to make sure their DUNS number was functioning. And I had upgraded our DUNS number password in October of last year. So I felt pretty good. And I went on the site to check it and it wouldn't work. So I contacted Bill Blankenship, who's been working with us on the Bushkill Stream project, and he had access to the DUNS as well. And that has been when I talked to the office staff, that has been a problem with that DUNS site. It's really quirky in trying to, you know, maintain a password and a username. So Bill said that he would look into it. I'm waiting to hear back from him. I also wanted to talk to Bill. If you know, the Bushkill Stream project is just about, you know, signed off on and complete, but there was the storm on Christmas Eve that took a lot of the work they did and changed it a bit. The stream was directed toward some private property where there was kind of a berm built after Irene, and started to wash away that bank there and was eroding that bank. The property owners have been in contact with me several times, concerned that the stream was directed toward their property during the stream mitigation. So MMI, formerly MMI, SLR now, had done, at my request, they did some, I asked them to survey the stream to see if, you know, after that storm event, what happened. So they had sent a drone up. They put some markings down on the ground, and they do a drone flyby, and they take photographs, a multitude of photographs, and layer them together to analyze the stream movement. And they are analyzing that. And Bill Blankenship and I were talking about that, and he thinks we might have a little bit of money to do something on that stream bank to help it a little bit. But MMI has to kind of figure out with Bill what kind of money we have, what we can do. I know the property owners are not happy. They are distressed every time it rains. So that situation is ongoing, and we'll see how it goes. All right. That's it for me. You guys got anything?
All right, I got one question on the bills. Maybe Scott knows the answer. Why did we have to replace the salt generation device on the pool?
Well, we should have replaced it last year. It was failing. There's more than one. So it's just, so I don't have the exact reason why it was going on, but I know they looked at replacing it last year when they did the pool resurfacing.
Is that something that just goes bad over time?
It goes bad.
We discussed that at budget time, didn't we? Isn't that the one we budgeted for specifically?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
that's
did.
right. You're right. I forgot about that. Okay.
Also, if you, in the bills, you might have noticed there's a very high bill from Central Hudson, like $7,000.
Yes.
And that was, there has been some, we reached out to them. It doesn't make any sense at all that our bill would jump so high. We reached out to them and they kind of gave us a bit of a squirrely answer. Rebecca said that things like this have happened before with them where they, I don't know whether it's an estimated reading or an actual reading, but there's been differences of opinion on the bill, and it's always corrected on the next billing cycle with them as a credit. So because of the timeliness of it in paying the bill, we didn't want to not pay the bill. So we paid the bill, and we will be looking and analyzing the bills in the next few weeks and getting back to Central Hudson, trying to, you know, establish that we need a credit for the account if they don't come forward with it. So just wanted to let you know that where that's at. I don't know who's come in to sign the vouchers. I don't know if there's more people need to come in, but they'll be available tomorrow morning. Anything else?
There was no place to sign.
Oh, it was on Don's desk, I think.
Yeah, Rebecca found them. So
Oh,
they're there
okay.
now.
Well, I won't be able to do it before the meeting.
I didn't have it on my desk.
That's where Rebecca said she found it.
She found it on Genesis.
Oh, on Janice's
Janice-
desk. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
because I know when I left, I didn't have anything like that on my desk. I have one thing. It's not a big thing, but Bruce brought it up to me today. On their dump permits, we ask for their phone number. And the purpose of that is if there's an issue, we want to be able to get in touch with them. If somebody writes a bad check, I usually give them a heads up with a phone call saying I got their check back before I send them out the kind of threatening letter that says you have to take care of it. It's considered a crime to that. So there's a purpose and a need for it there, but Bruce had somebody who came in that did not want to put their phone number there. All right. And he gave him a hard time about it. So I said, well, I could bring it up tonight to see what you guys feel. Do you want him not to issue the permit if they're not willing to fill it out in full? Or what do you want to do?
Let me ask you a question. What information is on the permit aside from the telephone number?
Their plate number and their address. So their name, address, the plate number of the vehicle they're using, and their telephone number.
Do we get an email address too?
No.
Okay.
I know what my feeling is. If they don't want to give us the phone number, they don't get a permit.
Way to go, Drew.
Well, they have to give the phone number on the check, at least.
No,
Right?
No,
they don't always.
Oh, they always
People
ask
don't
for it.
put- They don't put their name, their phone numbers on the check.
Oh, the guys always ask me to put it on there for them.
But he
If I
didn't want
took
to
a
do
check
that
from you,
either.
I'd
He
want
didn't
the
want to
number
do the
too.
I
check.
wouldn't take the check without the number.
He wouldn't do the check,
That
or
stops the
he
whole
wouldn't do the permit.
What did Bruce do? Tell him no permit, or did he give him a permit?
I think Bruce gave him the permit, but he brought it up and says, well, what do you think? They used to take their driver's license number. I don't need their driver's license number though. I need that phone number in case they bounce a check, or if there's a problem with something that they bring in or whatnot, we need that phone number. What makes life a lot easier.
So I agree. If no phone number, no permit.
All right. I mean, I don't know if you want to take a vote on it or if you're just all in agreement. It's totally up to you guys.
I'm in agreement.
Of
You,
course.
are you in
We need a
agreement?
passport, a valid passport.
Well, the other option was to tell them that you won't take their personal check. They have to come back with a money order.
There you
Well,
go.
That's
They
an
don't want,
idea.
Yeah,
if they
I
don't
think-
want to put their phone number on there, they can only pay by money order.
You'd still have the same problem with not having a phone number in case there's a
If there's an
issue
issue
with
for
what they-
Bruce, yeah, if there's an issue for Bruce, but as far as covering bad checks,
right.
that would take care of it because
How often has Bruce ever had to call anybody? It's my question. As far as the number on the permit.
sometimes he does. I don't know what Bruce does, but I
Yeah.
know I call him all the time. We call them if we can't understand what they wrote on the permit, because sometimes they're filling out the permits themselves, and people have crappy writing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come
so
on, we're talking about our public who we serve
Yeah.
here.
and then there's a question of actual residents. They say they live here. Brucey does the best he can to check. But sometimes we have to go back and say, wait a second, they're not in the town hall. So there is purposes for the phone number.
There's purposes over and above the check
Just a
clearing.
bad
Right.
check, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we have to require the phone number.
Okay. No phone number, no permit.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. I'm watching heads bounce. I will let Brucey know that that's the official word.
You want us to make a motion of that?
I think you can tonight if you want to just do that. So that covers it, that you all agree that the permit has to be filled out in its entirety in order for it to be issued.
So I'll make a motion that anyone going to the transfer station must fill out the application in entirety, including phone number, in order to get a permit.
I'll second that.
All right, I'll let Brucey know.
All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Yes, absolutely.
Aye. Opposed? Nay. All right, none.
I got one other thing. day camp.
Oh, right.
We're at a crossroads of time. We're still waiting some further direction from New York State and from the county, but we want to have day camp. We just don't know if it's going to be a hybrid situation, but just looking to see if anybody's got any thoughts on what we think we can and can't accomplish this year.
So didn't the state already say that there could be overnight camps?
Different situation.
No, I
Yeah.
understand it's a different situation. It seems like it's less
They-
contact in a day
They
camp.
say lots of things, but they don't put anything out in writing into the public.
Last year, the day camp regulations, guidelines were less restrictive than were more restrictive than the overnight camp. The overnight camp, they can separate people more.
They're not coming in and out. They're just staying there.
They often have group activities that they can, segregate people. I'm guessing, and there might have been some political power in that as well.
Yes.
I would think. So, we're always kind of left out to hang at the end of the day here. One of the thoughts, I was having, I know Gene mentioned this a little bit, was maybe limiting the amount of time we have it for, whether we have busing or not, whether it's just drop off. And also, one of my thoughts, and I don't know if it's worth it at this point, would be to limit the number of children there and half the number and then have 2 sessions. But, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, we're kind of in a, we're up in the air, we're kind of lost. We're kind of pushing the start date back maybe a couple of weeks and maybe shorting day camp to 4 weeks instead of 5, but we want to move forward, but we're getting to the point now in the next 2 or 3 weeks that, if it's a go, we got to come up with a plan, or if it's not, we got to say, well, this year we're back to.
You look at what's going on, I'll say locally, our state, and to some degree the country. I would think by 2 months from now, we're going to be pretty close to being able to do things like that without any real restrictions on it.
Yeah, I mean,
To me, you need to move as if it's going to happen. If we have to pull the plug at the last minute, then we do it.
So,
Okay.
the way that I look at the restrictions right now is that, like Aaron Smith had his event, you can have it if you can do the 6 feet or a mask outside. Getting these kids to wear a mask, that's a possibility, but it means a little bit more supervision. We don't have a structured program. That's part of what hurts us. I look at every day, and I get the New York Times COVID state report, and Ulster County is considered still very high risk.
Yep.
So even though our numbers are down, maybe that will catch up and get better, but and again, it's a state determination. It's not a county determination. So we really have to wait and see what the state says.
Is there justification for why it's still a high risk? I mean, the numbers are below 300 right now.
I think you have to be low for a certain amount of time
Right.
for it to
Oh,
change.
okay,
Right.
right.
I'm feeling like, gosh, anything we can do to get this to happen. But
Yeah.
On the other hand, we can't make it happen if it's not allowed by the state. We have that kind of restriction. But we are getting a lot of inquiries in the town office about it, just about every day.
how's the search for the supervisor, the camp supervisor?
Pretty
Any
slim.
leads? Yeah.
No. People we've reached out to have all said no. So
I gave Jean another name today. I don't know if he reached out to her.
all right, I just want to get everybody informed. So we're planning on going forward. We may come up with a hybrid plan to present to the town board, but our goal is to have day camp in one form or another.
Good.
What that form is.
How hamstrung do you think we'll be if we don't have busing?
It could be horrible because our counselors, a lot of them get to work by a bus. So, it throws a whole wrench in the plan that, all right, parents can bring their kids, but maybe the counselors can't get there. So
They might be able to set up, it would be really tough, but you might be able to get a carpool system going.
right. Yeah. So if kids and families, COVID has changed the world and it's made, families work together as groups, and we're hoping that's going to happen, but we just got to get there. So we're working on it.
Our drop dead date is the end of the month, right?
Yeah, our drop dead date was, we would have been hiring counselors this past recreation meeting, but, we pushed it off for a couple more weeks to hopefully have some direction, and then we can, we're thinking about pushing the start of day camp the week after 4th of July, and we usually start that week before or right then. So we're stalling it to maybe get people and processes in place.
Right.
Just a crazy time.
Keep our fingers crossed. I mean, I'm hoping we can do it.
Yeah, and we're not even sure the bus vendor would even want to touch it, and we don't even know what that price will be. So.
I know Gene asked me for the contract that they guaranteed us for last year, and they seem to be willing to be able to do that, but I think that would have to put another bus on or something, and that's going to increase the
problem,
cost.
social distancing, all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. We'll have to build a couple more pavilions and have little areas and
There we go.
plexiglass all over the place.
All right.
All right.
We'll have Hamlet recreation.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
Me.
All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you all. Motion to adjourn.
I move.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll talk tomorrow. And if you have any questions, give me a call.
Okay, will do.
So Don, I'm not going to be able to look at the bills before the meeting tomorrow night.
How many people have signed them so far?
To sign off on them.
Yeah, you were in, right?
Right, but I didn't. There was nothing to sign.
David and I signed them.
I don't know.
I might be able to get there tomorrow, but the way my life's going, the answer is probably no. You can send them home with Diana, and I'll look at them then.
Yeah, if we could get that.
Vicki, you can't get there, right?
No,
He's
I have a
already
meeting
looked
at
at 'em.
8:30 in the morning, and then I'm in work until 5 o'clock, so I can't possibly get there tomorrow.
Drew, you did sign them?
Yes.
David?
I signed them.
So you have two. We just need one more.
We could send him, like Scott said, send him home with Diana, and he can sign them. And then you'll have your 3 signatures.
You want me to come in early, Vic, if you want?
It would have to be really early.
Forget it. I had a great idea. Forget it. Scott, what time will you get him? You'll get him before the meeting then, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do that.
Sorry.
I'll just give them back to her, and she'll bring them back.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were having a problem there, Vic.
Yeah, well, there was nothing to sign there when I came in and looked at them this
She
morning.
reviewed them. She just didn't get to sign.
You
Is
didn't.
Diana going to work
Yeah, you
tomorrow?
should have just asked Janice.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I said something about it to her. I think that there's nothing to sign, and she said no, not yet.
Oh,
We're going to stay hybrid. You should scan all the invoices so we can see them.
Or you could email me just this page that you sign off on, because I did review the bills, and I could sign it and send it back.
I should say, I think we're getting close to the governor not extending the meeting law changes.
Good.
Oh, I'm hoping that the next week we have a meeting on Wednesday for, we'll go into executive session to hire a building clerk. And I'm hoping that's the last Zoom meeting for a while,
Yeah, me too.
really forever.
Yeah.
Like forever.
Much as I love seeing you guys on my computer screen.
Even if we have to do it in the cold.
I was thinking about it this month, but it's not quite cold and warm enough yet
No.
I'm
outside.
trying to think of a
But
good
I mean,
way
we
to,
can even
rig
do
a-
it in the town hall,
I'm trying to think of find a good way to rig a video system for the planning board when they have to go back, so that they can still have people
Hybrid.
come in on Zoom, even to the public meeting.
Wow,
Um,
that's going to be tough.
yeah, I have some ideas. I'll see what I can Greg. They might not be perfect, but they should work.
David, reach out to the county planning department to see if they've got anyone that's actually doing that. I think they do. I don't know how successful it is, though.
I know that the courts are back with having people come in at limited numbers, and so they have hybrid meetings. Like I'm on the family treatment court panel. So half of the participants are on screen, the panel's on screen, half of the participants in court, the judge is in court.
Well, the
And
difference
that's
with that
different.
is probably that for the courts, they're not subject to open meeting law.
Right.
no, I know,
That's the
but I'm
problem.
just
So
saying.
that's
they're-
our
they're-
problem.
They,
is,
they have figured out a way to do a hybrid meetings that work pretty
The
well.
public meeting law is that you only have to have a quorum in person and the others can be remote.
Right.
Yeah, but the public has to have access. And you don't know how many are going to show up.
But if you have 100 possible participants showing up, then you could do it. Right? I mean, you can up it to 100.
This is going to get interesting when we open up this sewer district to public hearings and things,
Yeah.
Yes.
so. All right, well, let's keep that all in mind and see how it progresses. All right.
Okay.
I don't think we
Right,
have to
folks.
make a decision,
See
so-
you tomorrow.
Good
Night.
night.
Thank you, everyone.